Hey everybody, welcome. Your saltwater guide, Captain Dave Hansen, back home from my big trip up for the War Heroes on Water. As you all know, I'm super involved with War Heroes on Water. I have been since the beginning of War Heroes. Thanks to Anthony Shea and Rod Halprin for allowing me to be a part of it. So that's where we've been the last couple days. So we're sorry we haven't had a podcast for you all the last couple days. And we're doing this one a little bit late tonight because we've been super busy with the War Heroes. But I'll let you know, the captain's meeting last night went off without a hitch. It went out really good. A lot of new boats being involved. It's going to be a really fun event starting out on September 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th in Newport Harbor. If you haven't been a part of War Heroes, if you don't know anything about War Heroes, just type in War Heroes on Water and you can see everything about it. I want to thank Deckhand Sports for always supporting us on Fridays. And I want to tell fishingbooker.com and Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance that we do appreciate you being a part of Thursday's shows. And we'll make it up to you the best we can on the live fishing shows. We're going to do one on Saturday or Sunday. So we'll get that going for you. And then any of you that are watching, you want to be part of our call-in show tomorrow, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. You can call in and tell us your fish reports, what you've been catching, where you've been catching it at. And it's a big hit. That's sponsored by AFTCO, and it's every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock in the morning. We get a lot of people watching that. A lot of people very interested in what's going on out on the water. So we'll be doing that tomorrow. If you want to call in, leave a comment on the side here. I'll give you my phone number and we'll get you going on that. And then I have a really emotional post that I want to read to everybody today. So we'll wait till a few more people get on here and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, just a great week. A lot of really good things are happening. I had a really good time up in Southern California. And they have anchovies at the bait barges. So our game plans talk about that. There's that bluefin fishing offshore. Been crazy. It's way out there right now, but there's fish on the inside, but it's hit and miss. It's not easy. Hi, Jeanette. Hey, Darren. Hey, Tim, Dave, Burris, everybody. Thank you for always being there for me. I appreciate all of you. If you're not a member of our website, you will be eventually one day. You're just going to fight it as long as you can, I know, and then eventually you'll be a part of the greatest fishing website ever made for fishermen by fishermen. But we have a very emotional post that came onto the community. One of our original members, Tony, took one of his longtime friends fishing. So I'm going to read this to you. And then tonight's going to be all about etiquette out on the water. Etiquette is something that is lost. Our members know etiquette. They know it very well. They know how to stay away from other boats. But we'll be talking etiquette tonight, if that's interesting to you and you want to know about it. But first, we're going to start off with Tony's post, which made me cry last night when I was after an emotional day with the War Heroes on Water. Then to read this post was pretty amazing. So Tony starts out his post like this, gang, and this is incredible. So pay attention and listen. Yesterday, I had the privilege to take two of my disabled Vietnam veteran fishing. Both of them have been severely impacted by the tools utilized during Vietnam War. One of the guys was just along for the ride, who hadn't been on a boat in the last 10 years. The other guy, my buddy Gary, had been fishing with me for over 15 years. He is best fisherman I've ever fished with. One of the reasons why I say this is that everything he knew, he would share. He would always bring food, always offer to pay for bait, and just do everything to make the fishing experience pleasurable. During the week, Gary had mentioned that he didn't know how many more fishing days he had left. So I said, Gary, let's go out and find out the deal. Let's go out and find out. The deal is when you get tired, you go down below and lay down. So we launched out of Cerritos Bahia Marina yesterday and went to Nachos for some bait and proceeded to go to the platform Eva for calico bass fishing, thinking it was going to be a sure shot. Gary was trying to rig as we went out, as usual, braid to fluoro. When we got to the platform, sure enough, on his first cast, he got hit, swing and a miss. I was so happy to see that he got bit. Eventually, we started catching fish after fish after fish. It's hard to describe how wonderful it is to see an older man enjoying himself catching fish. He landed a beautiful sand bass off the oil rig, and immediately after I hooked the large calico. I told him, Gary, I need some help on this one. I need help to get him in. I grabbed the net and instead gave him the pole, and he landed the fish, a beautiful 17-inch calico. After the fish, he said, Tony, I need to sit down for a while. I decided it was time to go back in. As we came back in, he was feeling better and happy. He said, Tony, maybe this is the last time I'm going to be able to go fish with you. I said, no way, Gary. You fished for 5 hours today. Next time we'll only go for 4. As we crossed into the marina under the bridge at Cerritos Bahia, I took a picture of the 3 of us. He's the guy in the middle who weighs about 98 pounds. I parked the boat in the slip. We did some chores together, and he went up to his vehicle to put his stuff in the car. As he reached for his car keys, he collapsed and passed away. Right there in the parking lot at Cerritos Bahia Marina, the Vietnam veteran, a close personal friend and great fisherman, passed away. I sure will miss him. When it comes to fishing, in my opinion, he was the man. Well, Tony, I love you, man. You've been a part of my website since the very beginning. I love you and your family, and I'm very, very sorry about what happened to your friend. As any of you that know me, I'm a very emotional human being. I always have been, and I probably will be till the day I die. That hit me very, very hard, and that made me think a lot about this gift that I have, the ability to teach people how to fish. And thank God Tony shared this experience with me, because it touched my heart very deeply, and it's going to help me as I move forward in my life, in my teaching, and everything I do, because of great human beings like Gary and Tony and the love that they both had for each other. And I want you to see the picture. He's the young man right there in the middle. And I don't know. I hope that's how I go fishing. End of the day with my best buds. Very emotional read for me. Tony, I love you, man. And that meant a lot to me that he shared that with our community. And that's what your saltwater guide and the community at your saltwater guide means to an awful lot of people. And I don't want to live in a world where we can't fish anymore, gang. I really don't. And that's why I push so hard for you all to get involved with ccacalifornia.org. I want to make sure that we get to do that, and we get to take our friends and our families and our loved ones fishing, because it means so much. And I believe in my heart that Gary knew. He told Tony before they left, he thought it might be his last trip. Gary knew. He knew, and that's where he wanted to be. He wanted to go out fishing with his buddy Tony. He wanted to be out on the water, and he wanted to do what he loved to do, which is fishing, gang. And I talk about this a lot on our shows every day. Fishing is such an integral part of my life, and a very integral part of a lot of people that I know's lives. And this one more time just shows me how important this fishing thing is. It's in our Constitution. It's our right for citizens of the United States of America to fish. And I know there's a lot of entities out there that don't want us to fish anymore. We have to work very diligently and very hard to keep fishing open. For experiences like this that we had with Tony and Gary, it's something that is super special. And I don't want to live in a planet where that's not happening. So that's why I work so hard to do this every day. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got a little emotional reading that. And Darren, thank you for bringing that up. I was getting on the airplane today, and Darren texted me and said, "Hey, why don't you pay tribute to Gary tonight?" That's what I did. And that was a great thing you came up with, Darren. So thank you very, very much. So, gang, just 1 second of silence for Gary. All right. So tonight we're talking about etiquette. I don't know if you guys have seen that viral video going around. One of our friends, well, both of them are people we know. The video is absolutely insane. It should have never got to that point. We're fishing. Something a lot of sport boat captains don't understand. A lot of captains think they get their captain's license. All of a sudden, they're the most intelligent human being on the planet. Gang, at the end of the day, you're a boat captain. That's all. You're nothing special. You're a guy that drives a boat, and you're blessed that you get to drive a boat for a living. You cannot possibly be this angry when you're out there on the water. If you are that angry, you need to try to find a different thing to do for a living, because it's not working for you and it's not good. This video, a lot of you have seen it. A lot of you have commented about it. I don't want to give it any more glory than it's already got. It's gotten millions of views in the last 2 days. Those of you that don't know the video, you can send me a message. I'll do my best to send it to you. I can't show the video because I do not cuss on my show. I'm not into cussing. I don't think it's an important part of our vocabulary, and I sure in the heck am not going to post a video as vile as this thing was. It's absolutely amazing. But it goes back to etiquette. The number one thing we teach at your saltwater guide is stop fishing for boats. Stay away from all the boats. Don't fish for boats. Stay away from boats. I don't think we should because of the language, Elliot. I don't think we should. We have a lot of children and a lot of women watching, and I don't think it's very appropriate. It's not an appropriate video for my audience. I'm not going to share it on my platform because I tell everybody your children can watch this. Hey, Kevin, one of my buddies, Kevin Brannon, I love what you're doing with the Guppies program, and I loved having you on my show. I'm talking about etiquette today, and I'm talking about that nasty, nasty video. And it's nasty, and it needs to be told to people. We get so caught up in our little fishing world, and we think that we are the most important thing out there. Well, we're not. We're just simply a tool that people use. Those of us that are licensed captains with knowledge, we get an opportunity to drive a boat, but that doesn't make us any better than anybody else, not by any stretch of the imagination. So when people act the way they acted on that video, it just makes me want to vomit, because it's not 1970. You can't conduct yourself the way that this gentleman conducted himself out there on the ocean. You can't do it. It's not good. It shows a very, very bad part of fishing, and it's something that we don't want to be involved in. So what I'm going to try to explain to everybody tonight is about etiquette. We talk about it all the time. Don't fish for boats. If you see a few boats in an area, leave the area. If you think that bluefin is that important to put yourself and your crew and your family in harm's way to catch a stupid fish, well, then you're out of your ever-loving mind. You need to just get away from that area. Oh, Dan, I'm sorry. I hope you and Kim are okay. Yeah, it's a tragic time right now. Tim Ogilvy lost his father a couple days ago, too. A lot of our family, a lot of our members, and I call you guys my family. Yeah, it sucks. Believe me, you all know I went through it a couple years ago. It's not good. So, Dan, I apologize. I'm sorry. but he's in a much better place. I know he's been suffering for a long time. But something that a lot of these captains don't understand is you're nothing. You're a boat captain. You're nothing special. Yeah, you're special to your mom. You're special to your wife. You're special to your children. But when you get out there on the ocean, put your ego in your pocket. You're not that big of a deal. I'm sorry. There's a lot of people that can catch a fish. That doesn't make you super special. And it doesn't give you a pass to treat people as horrible. It doesn't. It just doesn't. We're all out there trying to make a living. We're trying to work together out on the ocean. So here we go. This is etiquette 101. You see boats in an area, work in an area because they found some fish. Congratulations, they found some fish. It's time for you to move off into a different area. You need to go. If that is the only area of fish left in the ocean, well, then we're all doomed anyway. There's no fish left, so might as well not even go fishing. But it's not. You need to move around. You need to get out of that area. If there's 5 or 6 boats all trying to work on one foamer of fish, don't get involved in that. First of all, you're probably not going to get an opportunity to catch a fish in there anyway, because there's 4 or 5 guys that don't have a clue what they're doing. And then there's one guy that does. He's probably the guy that found the fish. But it's just a giant mess, and it doesn't need to happen. And then we saw another episode with a sport boat captain driving inches away from Justin on his boat the other day. Believe me, I got all these guys' phone numbers. I reach out to them. I just let them know there's no reason to combat fish. It's not part of the deal, gang. There's plenty of people that are causing the problems. We're not above the problem. I'm sure plenty of my guys have caused a problem here or there, or made an accident, made a boo-boo, did something stupid. But there's no reason for boat rage, road rage, ocean rage out there on the water, gang. There's no need for that. It's a big, giant ocean. If your only thing you want to do is catch bluefin and there's already boats where you were when you got there, you got to move. We're coming up into lobster season. This is combat style fishing too. If you don't get out to the area early enough and somebody else puts their hoop nets there, you can't fish there. You go somewhere else. You do not drop your hoop nets on other people's hoop nets. That is etiquette 101. We don't do that. If you've been catching yellowtail at a spot at Catalina, and for some reason you didn't get there first and somebody else is there, nobody owns any spots. You don't own a spot. I've been doing this for longer than most of these kids that are doing it today have been alive, and we don't own any spots. So if someone's where you think you're supposed to be when you get there, that doesn't mean you pull up and act like a complete idiot and start yelling and screaming at them. You got to have etiquette. You've got to go, okay, he got there first. Tomorrow I might want to leave earlier. I want to be there first, just like hoop netting. You didn't get to the spot first. That gives you no right to cut people's gear off. Gives you no right. Now, if the people drop their gear on top of you, like I always say, I just help them out by pulling their stuff because I need to get to my stuff and I don't want to get your stuff tangled in my propellers. So I'll stack your stuff up nice and neat. And then when you come back to get it, I'll hand it back to you. No verbal, no cussing, nothing. I'm just going to, hey, your stuff got tangled up with my stuff when we were pulling it. Here's your stuff. Have a wonderful evening. And hopefully they go to another spot. But to lose your mind over this, it's not worth it, gang. It's just not worth it. And as far as etiquette goes, there's so many different levels of what's going on out on the water. We're going to talk about it all tonight. We're going to touch on lots of different things. But real quick, I want you to watch this video that Dave at Deckhand Sports put together for all of us. Check this out. That bag is absolutely incredible. Deckhand Sports, because of the fact that you guys are all watching the show, he has given you guys 15% off on his products over there at deckhandsports.com. Go to deckhandsports.com and look at the laundry list of products they have over there, from cups to backpack fish carriers to kill bags to just a plethora of products that you'll be blown away. And because of the fact that you watch this podcast, you're going to get to save 15% on all the products. Now, you can either use the QR code right there on the screen, or you can put in the code YSWG and the number 15, and that'll save you 15% on the product. I know you guys are watching Marley. He is so excited. He missed me so much. Usually he's in bed by now, but Kelly told him I was coming home. Look at him. He's fired up. He misses his daddy big time, right, buddy? Yeah, you do. So he's super excited that daddy's home. Look at him running around. He is fired up. Dad's home, and he's laying out there right now just relaxing. But gang, check out deckhandsports.com. Go look at all the great products they have over there, and there's QR code up on the screen, or put in the code YSWG and the number 15, and you'll get a discount of 15% on all their products. And let's go back to etiquette. So let's say you get to Catalina and you're anchored on a spot, and you start to see boats driving around, coming up off your stern, coming through. That's because you're on the front side of Catalina. And you have to remember, at Catalina, 90% of the boaters at Catalina on the front side of the island aren't a member of any fishing website, don't really know anything about fishing etiquette. They don't know. They don't know. So you have to understand, to start screaming and yelling and acting like a complete potato head, that's not the answer. Education's the answer. Look at them. If they're on a big yacht and they got all the fancy stuff and everybody's wearing clothes that match, those guys know. And if they're in your chum line or they're driving around there, yeah, they deserve it. Or there's a charter boat and they're doing that kind of stuff, they deserve it. But what I want you to do, this is a challenge to all of you. If this stuff is going on, everything's hearsay until you give me a video. Give me a video. I'll look at the video. I'll see what really happened. And then we'll blast them right here on the website. We will talk about it on the podcast. We'll let them have it. But for you to get your blood pressure flying off the handle, screaming and yelling and cussing and acting like a complete potato head, that's when you're going to run into problems. That's where you got to run into problems like what we're talking about at the beginning of the show here. You got to conduct yourself in a professional manner all the time. Everybody's got one of these. Everybody's videoing you. Whatever you do, whatever you say, you don't know if they're standing on the beach, standing on a yacht, where they're standing at. Understand, everybody's watching you all the time. Marley, what are you doing on the floor? Marley just ran over my foot. He never goes on the floor. Crazy. So you got to understand, gang, that this etiquette thing is super important. It's super important to pay attention. Okay. Yeah, we'll show it with no sound. Thanks, Elliot. Here, this is the video we're talking about. It's crazy. The sound, we have to turn it down because every other word is the F-bomb. And they got their flying fish tangled up together. And then here comes the barrage of just the most vile stuff you've ever heard come out of a human being's mouth. And then it's just amazing to me that this goes on out there on the water. It's a fish. You're fishing. Nobody got hurt. Nobody lost anything. And then to act the way that this young man acted was just absolutely amazing. I don't know. I don't know. I don't believe in it. I'm sorry. I don't care what happened. I do not care what happened. I just don't believe in this kind of stuff anymore. Believe me, in the 70s, I was this guy. But this is 2024. You got to grow up. You got to act like a grown-up. You can't throw racial slurs out there, and you can't throw homophobic slurs out there anymore. It's not the same world we all grew up in. You got to pay attention to what you're doing, gang. None of this should ever happen. It's absolutely sad that it happened. But I believe that my job, because of who I am and as influential as I am, because of my good buddy Elliot and the amount of views and the amount of people that listen to us and the amount of people that are watching it. Yeah, I always do every time, Elliot, on the show. If you got anything you want to throw up there, we can talk about it right now. You got a clip? Instead of the one little clip I got, if you have a little clip you could throw up there, that would be awesome, and I'll talk about it. Check this out.
This is the history of sport fishing. Chapter 3, In Search of Giants. Without any real knowledge of the local waters and conditions, Zane spent 86 consecutive, long, hard days of toil without catching a fish until the fish of his lifetime appeared behind the boat, as shown in this historical footage of the first ever 1,000-pound fish ever captured with a rod and reel. Let's listen to Zane's account of this incredible fish in his own words as we quote from his book, Tales of Tahitian Waters.
Suddenly I heard a sounding, a vicious thump on the water, as Peter yelled, "Jesus!"
That is the history to sport fishing, gang. I'm throwing the QR code up right now. If you have not seen the history of sport fishing, you need to watch this. This is an incredible, incredible history of sport fishing series put together by our good friend Michael Folks. We had him as a guest on the podcast last Friday. I'm telling you, Kelly Girl and I binge watched the whole thing. We watched part one a couple of times. Part one's pretty cool. Every part of it's really cool. But when you guys watch part one and you watch who the very first voice you see or the very first voice you hear, you're going to be blown away. And every part of this is absolutely the history of our lives. And when I was telling you guys when I was reading Tony's post, how I learned from this history of sport fishing, gang, that fishing is in our Constitution. In the Bill of Rights, when they were setting down, writing up what America was going to be all about, they put in the Bill of Rights that we shall be able to fish in the United States of America. Our forefathers were fishermen. Our forefathers did not go fishing. Did not go out there and fight the battles that they fought in the Revolutionary War without their tackle bags. George Washington had a tackle bag he carried with him all the time, because even in the middle of the war, he would take a break from the action and he would fish, because it's so important. It helps reset everything going on in our lives. Fishing is such an important part of our life, gang. It's embedded into our fiber. And you need to watch this movie to understand, or it's not really a movie, it's a 12-part docuseries, The History of Sport Fishing. You can get everything you want from this QR code right here to watch this film. It is absolutely incredible. Michael pretty much shut his life off for 10 years to edit this thing and put it all together. And the way he splices that old vintage film in with the new film, you see all the great things that all the great guys that went and gals that went before us and put this fishing thing together. You will be blown away. It will definitely be better than any garbage you're watching on Netflix or any of the other places. This is true. This is about our lives. You need to learn about this passion that you have and why it's embedded in our fiber as citizens of the United States of America and how important it is to our history. And you will be blown away by all the people that you know their names that were fishermen. Our forefathers were all fishermen. Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, John Quincy Adams, they were all fishermen. It's going to blow your mind. They all fished. They loved to fish. It was their passion. Then also, those of you from Southern California, you'll learn all about the history of Catalina. There's just so much cool stuff in here. Those of you in Florida, you're going to learn all about the tarpon and all about how important that is. And then those of you in the Midwest, you're going to learn all about largemouth bass. And the guys you grew up on idolizing and watching, they're in this 12-part docuseries. They explain to you how hard it was to get a fishing show on the air back in the day. Absolutely incredible footage, incredible stories. Just, I guarantee you, you're not going to be disappointed when you watch this 12-part docuseries. There's something in it for everybody. And knowledge is key. And to learn about how fishing started and where it went and where it's at now and how important it is to stay as involved as you possibly can. Because like I say, there's entities in the United States of America that absolutely do not want us to fish, no matter what. So it's important to know the history and then to support us, to support sport fishing. And you can do that by becoming a member of ccacalifornia.org. You can also get involved with the American Sport Fishing Association and Keep America Fishing. What are you doing, Marley? Why are you on the ground? Keep America Fishing is a super important entity in this fishing thing. So try to get involved as much as you possibly can. We'll have Wayne on the show next week. I'm sure he'll be able to explain more to you about all the meetings that are coming up. He'll have a schedule of the meetings that we can attend. And it's very important to keep fishing open, gang. So we get great stories like the story I read you in the beginning of this with our buddy Tony spending the last day with his best bud, Gary. What an incredible story. And this history of sport fishing is an incredible story. Keeping America Fishing is an incredible story. And ccacalifornia.org is an incredible story. But if you guys are in this thing and you're just hanging out on the outside or you're causing problems out there on the water or you're a sport boat captain that think you're the greatest thing since sliced bread, you're missing out on what's really going on. You need to understand you're just a boat captain. You're not that important. But if we all work together, it will be that important because we can keep fishing open. And there's Michael Folks's boat. Oh, my goodness. I love that dog. So check out the history of sport fishing, gang. And then let's start to practice etiquette when we're out there. Let's not be the problem. You're very welcome, Dan. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you, Calico Chris. I appreciate you. Gang, it's super important to understand that we are together, we can do a lot. But when we separate and act a fool like the guy that did on that boat that we just showed you that video, it doesn't help anything. It doesn't help the industry. And I know there's a lot of old timers on here that conduct themselves in that way. And it's not cool anymore, gang. This is 2024. This is not 1970. It's a different world. We got to remove head from rectum. We got to start working together here on this to make sure that we keep fishing open for the children that are watching right now and our loved ones and the people that are paying attention to what's going on. It's just the weirdest time to be alive in the United States of America. Nothing like this has ever happened before, gang. And why is fishing on the top of their list of things to abolish? I have no idea. I can't really answer that question. But I try to bring the right people on the show to explain what the hell's going on out here for us. And I apologize for cussing, but help me keep fishing open, gang. Get involved with CCA. Get involved. I'll throw the QR code up there on the screen for CCA. And just hang with me for a minute. Check out CCA. And then any of you guys, anybody that's been fishing this week and you want to call into our show tomorrow, Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, I would really appreciate your phone calls. I would appreciate everybody that's watching will appreciate listening to your story and seeing what's going on. Yeah, it's pretty sad, right, Jeanette? Jeanette, you went down this rabbit hole of this wind farm baloney crap. It's a facade. It doesn't work. It never will work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work tomorrow. It's not going to work in our lifetime. What it takes to make one, it'll take 100 years. If windmill actually worked for 100 years, it would take 100 years to replace the energy that it's going to take to make one. And that thing will have to spin for 100 years just to replace the energy. You can't make these windmills without oil, without petroleum products. That's for another show. There's so much going on out here, gang. And then my sister told me that they are on full speed shutting down our sand bass fishery. That is their number one objective right now in Southern California. They don't understand that we can't catch sand bass with sardines 5 inches long. Now their bait barges have some anchovies. You guys are seeing the sand bass counts just go bananas. You're seeing sport boats catching sand bass wide open because they have anchovies. The entities out there don't understand logic, or they don't understand science. All they do is attack it emotionally, and they emotionally want to close sand bass because they can't catch one on an 8-inch sardine, so they think there's none out there. So what my sister suggested is we all need to start posting pictures of baby sand bass. If you're afraid to post them on regular social media, you can post them on your saltwater guide. We have no negativity on our website. We don't allow it. And you can post these baby sand bass that you're catching. We need to show the people in California that there are sand bass and we are catching them. My nephew and I went fishing the night before last on his skiff for a couple hours, and we caught 30 bass between the two of us, and at least 15 of them were sand bass. There's plenty of sand bass if you know how to fish, but they don't want us to fish. That's the bottom line. Let's be honest. It has nothing to do with the fish. It has to do with control, and they don't want us fishing anymore, gang, no matter what. Do yourself a favor, do me a favor, get involved with CCA California, watch the history of sport fishing so you can see the crazy things that happened in the old days to get us to where we are today, and then now to stop us from fishing. But when you learn the history of sport fishing, you're going to understand how important sport fishing is. When you heard that story tonight about Gary, Tony's friend, dying at the dock when they got in, that's a heavy, heavy thing. But that's all because of fishing. Those guys had the time of their lives. The last day they were together, they were out fishing. I don't want to be in a world where we don't get to do that. Do you, Marley? Do you want to be in that world, buddy? Come on. So, gang, I know it's been a short show, but I just got home. I haven't seen my wife. I jumped on this and did this podcast because I just felt it was necessary to talk about etiquette. If you guys have anything that you can think of that you need to add to this etiquette thing, go ahead and keep the comments going. Plenty of people read them afterwards. I'll keep doing what I do. There's no way they're going to ever stop me from doing what I do, gang. We're viral on every platform, so good luck shutting me down. Good flipping luck. I was just with my nephew for the last 3 days. He's a young man. He's 25 years old. He's super into social media, and he's just blown away by what his old Uncle Dave's doing. And it's all because of my buddy Elliot and I putting together all these great videos. But we tell truth. I think that's what does it. I think that's what gets us going, and that's what causes so many people to watch us, because there's a lot of people out there that are wanting to hear the truth. They're tired of all the lies. They're tired of all the baloney. They're tired of the appointments of the president of the United States. It's sad that we don't get to vote for the president anymore. It is. It's super sad. But I didn't want to go there, but I slipped up and I went there. It's sad, the world we're living in today, where they appoint the people that are going to close fishing. We don't get to vote. I don't think since 2016, I don't think we're ever going to get. Last time America got to vote was 2016, and they didn't like the outcome, so I don't think they're ever going to let us do that again. Sad. Well, gang, I did it. I went to where I wasn't supposed to go. But there's one side that wants to let us fish, and there's one side that doesn't, gang. It's not that hard to figure it out. It's not that hard to figure it out, gang. So the etiquette of tipping, can you go? Yeah. We can touch on that. That always gets everybody all fired up, Tim. So this whole tipping thing is a crazy, crazy thing. Oh, would you calm down? You want to be with Daddy? I see you running around back there. I know you want to be with me. You don't want to not. He loves me. So, gang, this whole tipping thing, we talk about it on Jane. Don't talk like that. What do you mean? I'm just telling you. Truth. Truth's not fun, I know. It's way better to live in fantasy land. But how do I go to bed at night and this one guy win, and then I wake up in the morning and 4 million votes are for the other person and not one for the guy? That, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe. But I don't think so. But here, so as far as tipping goes, gang, I talked about it. I make those videos at the bait barge. I make those tipping videos. I try to explain to everybody. If you go out on a sport boat, look on that sport boat. There's probably 3 to 5 crew members, okay? So if you tip them $1, that dollar is going to be split 5 ways. If you go to a restaurant, your tip's going to get split. Or sometimes a lot of restaurant owners allow the waiter or waitress to keep their tips. My son works in a bar, and he fights very hard to not, but they pool the tips. On a sport boat, everything's split equally, 4 ways, 5 ways, 6 ways. So when you go out on a sport boat, if you're tipping according to how you tip at a restaurant, that's not really fair to the people that work on the sport boat, because now I don't want you tipping people that don't work. I hate people that don't work. Like I told you guys last week on my podcast, I couldn't work on a boat nowadays because I would throw all of these away. If the minute I came out of the wheelhouse and I saw you talking on this, I'd throw it in the ocean. And then we'd be at HR, and you'd be sucking your thumb. Your mom and your dad would come down, and it'd be a big mess. Plus, I'd be really mean to you because I don't care about your feelings, and I'd talk down to you because I would need you to help my passengers that paid me a bunch of money to take them fishing. So I couldn't do it. So let's just be honest. I couldn't do it. But the guys that are doing it are doing an unbelievable job. I couldn't even imagine fishing this bluefin where you have to be up all night and then up all day because you don't know if the bluefin's going to bite at 2 in the morning or at 7 at night or at 6 in the morning or at 4 in the afternoon. So these guys are working their ever-loving asses off. And then at the end of the day, yeah, they're going to close. I'm sorry, Jane, but it goes, whatever happens in California, that's what happens everywhere. And they're on a mission to stop fishing. You don't believe me? Go to keepamericafishing.org or keepamericafishing.com and go look at what's going on, gang. I had the president of the American Sport Fishing Association, Glenn Hughes, on here, and he said, we've got to make the world aware that they want to shut down sport fishing. They want to shut down commercial fishing. They just want to shut down fishing in America. And we all need to understand that. But let's go back to the tipping thing. We can't pay our employees enough without your tips because of the fact that it's so expensive to run a sport fishing boat. And we had Al and Justin on the show the other day, and we tried to break it down and explain to you what it costs to run an operation nowadays. And then if you run a sport boat instead of a 6-pack charter boat, the overhead cost goes up tremendously. But we all do the very best we can to try to keep the people working for us that work for us. But gang, it's about tipping. It always has been. It's been that way since, well, I started in the 70s. My dad started in 49. It's always been about tips. Always has been, always will be. I love these people that don't understand the industry, that yell at me or make a bunch of lame comments talking to me about the entitlement of the tip and everything. Well, this industry, why do you guys tip when you go to a restaurant? You know why you tip when you go to a restaurant? Because your parents or your aunts or your uncles or your grandparents taught you that you're supposed to tip. I remember the first time we went when I was a little kid and my dad left money. I think he left like $1. Back when you could buy 4 and 5 gallons of gas for $1. He left $1 for the young lady that served us breakfast before we went out on the boat. And I was like, Dad, you left $1. I took it with us. I was like, Dad, you left $1 there. And he's all, that's for them. And I'm all, who? He's all, the people that served us our food. That's their money. That's called a tip. And then he explained it all to me. So when you go out on a sport boat, gang, and the tip gets split 5 ways, if you're tipping like a restaurant, oh, I tip 15%. And if it's really good service, I tip 20. So you think that those people that are working on the boat, if it's a $100 trip, you think $20 is an appropriate tip? That's fine if that's what you feel. I'm not going to be telling you what to tip, but understand if there's 5 guys working on the boat, you tipped each of them $4. I'm just trying to help you understand what's going on. Stop and think about it. I'm not going to tell you how much to tip, how much percentage to tip, because I don't think the percentage thing should be applied in the sport boat yacht world. I think there's too many entities. Service is a huge one. What are you doing, Marley? He's acting so strange today. He's down on the ground again. But the tipping thing is something you have to slow down and look at. I remember when I was a captain on the sport boats, people would come up to me all the time and say, hey, Cap, what would be a good tip? I would tell them $1,000 would be phenomenal. We'll talk about you for the rest of the season. But no, I just go, hey, you think about it. There's 5 of us. You give us each $20. That'd be rad. If we got $20 from every passenger that came on the boat, that would be incredible. That would be phenomenal. We would be totally stoked. We don't ever expect anything. We expect 0. It's not going to change how we work. We work our butts off. Something else you need to understand, gang. Do you think we work harder when the fish are biting or harder when they're not biting? That's one that you guys all tip around. I see it. I read it on social media. Wow, we didn't catch anything. Fuck, I ain't tipping those guys. We're just boat captains. We can't control the fish biting. We can't control. What we can control is our crew. We can control how the crew interacts with you on the boat. We can control how the cook acts with you. If the crew and the cook are attituded out, don't go on that boat anymore and don't tip them a penny. Because they don't deserve a tip because of their attitude. No one deserves a tip, okay? A tip is earned. You need to work your butt off to get that tip. But I used to tell my crew, every single person that came on the boat today has $20 in their pocket that they want to give you. Now it's up to us to remove head from rectum and get those 20s. And $20 tip, it's great because you're going to split it up 5 ways, but you're going to give me a 20. You're going to give Dan a 20. You're going to give Max a 20. You're going to give 5, bring 120 Bring $120 if there's 5 crew members for tips. That'd be great. We would be stoked. No one's going to bitch and complain. But if you walk up to the trip cost $100 and you tip 20, and we worked our butts off, it hurts. It hurts our feelings. It hurts. It's not going to change how we work tomorrow, but it just kind of hurts at the end of the day when we're like, wow, really? I don't understand. And don't tell me we should pay our crew members more. If we did that, you couldn't afford to go fishing. I'm just telling you. If we paid each one of the crew members $20 an hour, which Gavin tells us we need to pay them, for a 20-hour day, could you imagine how much I'm going to have to charge you to take you fishing? So just understand, it's not a restaurant. It's not a bar. You're not in there. If you have the greatest service in the world, gang, at a restaurant, if you broke it down, you're at the restaurant for an hour having dinner, you may have seen your waiter or waitress, if you really, really, really broke it down with a stopwatch, 10 minutes maybe the whole time. If there was epic service, you might have seen them for 12 minutes. That's a lot of time for them to be at the table working on you. I mean, most of the interactions are less than a minute. I know it's hard to imagine, but they are. If you stopped and thought about how long a minute is while you're sitting at the table. But if you come on a sport boat, guess where we are? We're with you the whole day. We're there all day with you. We're your entertainment. We're your service. We're your people that are getting you food. We're the people that are untangling your lines. We're the people that are rigging your rods. We expect zero. But when it comes to asking about how to tip, you got to understand, every dollar you give gets split 5 ways. And if you come up to, if you think one deckhand's really doing good and you tip him, but you don't want to tip the other guys and you put the money in his pocket, he has to give the tips to the captain and everything's split appropriate. What I always say, when I would catch my deckhands putting the money in their pocket, I would say, hey, did anybody tip you today? Not really. I go, okay, cool. Then I guess we don't have to split our tips with you since you're keeping that money in your pocket. A good captain, we see everything. Nothing gets by us. So always, always, always just understand that tipping thing, what it's all about, what's going on. But if it's crappy service, gang, 0 tip and never go on that boat again. And like I always say, if you want to know, I can tell you what boats you do want to go on and what boats you don't want to go on. All you got to do is call me. I'm never going to call them out on here because most of their owners are friends. I'm not going to call the guys out on here, but I'm going to absolutely tell you who they are and who you should go with and who you shouldn't go with, because it's my name and it's my reputation. And I got a big name in this industry, whether you want to believe it or not. #1 social media guy in California is me. Believe it or not, I don't care. It is. The train is hauling ass down the tracks. I'm going to throw this out there before we end the podcast, gang. We got room for 2 more sponsors on our live shows. I don't know if you're watching. It's pretty cool to see the tankless water heater from Don Stanley. I mean, when he explains it all to you, it makes so much sense. But he understands the power of this social media and Dave Hansen and your Saltwater Guide. Oh, now we have a new roofing company involved. I have 2 spots left. If you have a company and you're tired of being broke, you want to be into the biggest thing going right now, jump on there. We can run your ads. Give me a call at 949-374-0786. I'm not looking for guys in the fishing industry. The fishing industry doesn't have any money, and the fishing industry absolutely does not understand social media. When you talk to any of these manufacturers about, it's like deer in the headlights. They don't get it. They're not going to get it. They ain't going to get it in my lifetime. All it would take is one of the 4 major reel companies to understand social media, and they would dominate, but they don't want to understand it. So it's okay. They'll do what they do. I'm going to just keep doing what I do and having a blast. Guys want to get involved in the train that's roaring down the tracks. We're getting 8,000 to 10,000 new subscribers a month on Instagram. It's absolutely insane, gang. If you look, we were at 100,000 new subscribers on the 1st of July. We're at 110,000 now, and it's the 10th of August. It's crazy. Just watch. It'll be bigger tomorrow. It'll grow bigger tomorrow. If you want to get on the train, all you got to do is call me at 949-374-0786. You never have to be broke again unless you want to be. It's up to you, gang. Understand social media is where it all's at. No, everyone looks at this all day. Go outside and walk around and look. People don't even see the world anymore. They're staring at their phone. If your stuff is getting seen by 1 million people, there's a good chance one of those millions of people are going to buy your product. We get 30 million views a month. You may want to get on the train. I don't know. There's some people that get it, and most people don't. Good luck out there. Turn off the news. Call me tomorrow morning. I want to hear your fish report. I need you on the show. AFTCO tomorrow. AFTCO supports the Saturday live fish report show. Call me up. Let me know if you want to be on the show. 949-374-0786. If you got some cool stuff you want to sell, let me know. Can you see the monkey one more time? Absolutely. Marley. Marley. Where are you? There you are. You little poop. You little poop. Oh, those screens. Whoa. Nope, I guess we're not going to get to see him. What are you doing? He's running around on the floor. Jane, tomorrow morning, I'll have him on the show on my shoulder. Check me out in the morning. But Marley doesn't want to be on the show right now. All right, everybody. Thank you.